go. We're running just as fast as we can, holding on to one another's hand, trying to get away into the night. And then you put your arms around me as we come to the ground.
Hey guys, welcome back to Critic and Fan, and as you can see, I am shooting this movie solo today, as Rob is apparently having a good time skiing over in Utah. But even though Robert thinks he's having the greatest time ever in Utah skiing in the freezing cold, I had the better end of the deal because I got to see the movie 10 Cloverfield Lane. And this movie stars John Goodman, Mary Winstead, and John Gallagher Jr. And is also the directorial debut by a man named Dan Trachtenberg. So the story of this movie is actually very simple. A woman gets into a car accident and wakes up to find herself in a bunker with two guys who claim that she cannot leave this bunker because if she were to leave this bunker, she would die because the air is not breathable due to an attack that happened earlier. Cloverfield! And now the story focuses on the woman trying to figure out if this is the truth. Going to this movie, I really didn't know what to expect. The trailer that they chose to show doesn't really tell you a whole lot as to what the movie's about. All you know is that there's three people in a bunker, and it shows them playing board games, having a good time, listening to music and dancing. And then it does a total 180, and then the girl smashes John Goodman's face with a bottle, and she ends up running up these stairs, and he's all freaking out, saying, "No, don't go out there because he'll kill us all," and just boom. 10 Cloverfield Lane. And that was it. So going to this movie, I didn't know if we were going to get another monster roaming around, terrorizing these three people. And right off the bat, that's not what this movie is. Instead of focusing on a monster, it ends up focusing on people. Which actually goes with the movie's tagline that says, "Monsters come in many forms." And they capitalize so much on that tagline in this movie because this movie is truly disturbing. And that is 100% because of the cast in this movie. Mary Winstead's really good in the movie. John Gallagher is really solid in this movie. But easily the show stealer of this movie is John Goodman. And he was the one that disturbed me the most. What was great about his character was that one scene he's just crazy and the other scene is not crazy. And so you really don't know for a fact if this guy is good or bad. You don't know if his intentions are for good or bad. You just know, okay. I don't want to be stuck with this guy. But you can't leave because you're stuck in the bunker with this guy. Even though John Gallagher Jr. is the third main person in this movie, the focus on the story isn't too much on him because the show really is about Mary Winstead and John Goodman. And the tension between these two characters is really crazy to watch. I can't go into the spoilers as to what happens in this movie, but rest assured, this is one of the most pleasing movies I've seen so far this year. Mainly because the small scale of this movie. It's so claustrophobic. They're in a bunker and there's hardly anywhere for them to go, so they're stuck pretty much together. And tense moments happen in the movie and you're just like, oh god, I feel really uncomfortable right now. There are multiple times in this movie where I was literally on the edge of my seat wondering what was going to happen next. Because the director does a really good job of building tension. And that's what I loved about this movie was that there was no jump scares or anything like that. It was just a good, solid, character-driven story. There aren't really that many blatant references to the first Cloverfield movie. If I remember correctly, there was maybe one or two lines that were said in this movie that connected somewhat to the first movie. But overall, this movie stands on its own, and it didn't really need the name Cloverfield in it. But, you know, Hollywood, they needed the name so they can draw people in. The only problem that I really had about this movie was just the ending, really. Some people liked Cloverfield, and some people didn't like Cloverfield because of the ending, and that's kind of the same case with this movie. For me personally, I didn't think the ending was terrible, I just felt it was a bit rushed. And it also kind of didn't fit the tone of the rest of the movie, and the situation that happens just kind of feels rushed and shoehorned into the movie. I think that if they just would have cut the last 15 minutes of this movie, and just used the last 45 seconds of how this movie ends, I think it would have been a much better ending. But overall, it's not terrible. It's just not the ending that I wanted. So now the question is, do I recommend you guys to watch this movie? Yeah. If you want a monster movie where there's a big old massive creature smashing buildings, this movie's not for you. But if you want a good story with good characters, good dialogue, with super intense moments, then this movie is for you. I definitely recommend seeing it in theaters. It's a really good movie, guys. Check it out. Alright guys, that's my quick review for 10 Cloverfield Lane. And when Robert returns from Utah, we are going to review the movie from the Divergent series, Allegiant, as well as review the previous movies in the Divergent series. And with that, Rob, take it away.
Alright guys, if you like our review of 10 Cloverfield Lane, please subscribe and follow us.